All right, hello everybody. So this is the last round game in the Finnish league, at least for my team. My team was below the relegation line, so we really needed to win this game. I was playing a 2050 Elo rated player who I met 2 or 3 years ago in the League 2. I was white in that game too. And we played exactly the same opening moves. I start with d4, they start with knight f6, I play c4, they play e6, and after knight c3, they play d5. But I feel like this is a kind of a flexible, tricky move where black keeps white guessing. Is it gonna be Nimzo Indian? Is it gonna be the Queen's Gambit? Or something else? Last time he played d5, this is what he played this time too. What would be the downside of this move order instead of going straight up to the Queen's Gambit? I think it at least limits your opening choice a little bit, because here black could try the bishop e7 line, avoiding the pin lines. Very usually white ends up developing the bishop to f4. And maybe it takes away some chances. But probably it's fine, especially if you're intending to go to this line anyways. You keep your options open here. You could play the Nimzo, you could play the Queen's Gambit, which are both really good openings. Well, Queen's Gambit it is. Well, I play the exchange, bang bang, and then come in the knight. Here my opponent played knight b7 with the trap, the very famous Queen's Gambit trap, which I don't think is the main idea, but I mean it's a side idea of the move. So obviously white here can think, oh dude, you block this free pawn. And then black takes here, and then we would think, oh dude, you left the queen hanging. And then black says check. And then you might have a rude awakening. Oh, I have to block with the queen. Black says check. And takes your bishop, and then you count the pieces and realize you're down a piece. Horrible, and maybe resign. Justified. But on the other hand, it's not the only idea of this move. So it's a tricky move, of course. But the added benefit is that there is the little trap included. Well, I did not fall for it. e3. And my opponent plays bishop e7. I come bishop d3. This is where we were last time too. That the game he played the castles. But this time he goes with the knight f8. So black's gonna go for, well, he's gonna get the tempo on the bishop here. Downside, of course, is that he hasn't castled. And one downside of this move, of course, is that it does take away those I don't know, something like, well, you can't play it, but it does block the bishop. But it's probably this line is definitely not everybody's cup of tea. Or maybe queen f3, yeah. But this is probably playable, but also very difficult line for black. I think Kramnik played this for a while. But one point is that this is going to be a tempo. It does put pressure here. It does support c5. And one thing is that black's not committing the c6 pawn here, or the c pawn to c6. So probably here I should not go for the plan knight ge2 like I did in the game. Maybe it makes more sense to go for this knight f3 instead. But who knows? I went here, black attacked my bishop, and then I drop the bishop back, they castled, I castled. And they go for g6. Plan is to put the knight there, trade the light squared bishops here. Which is pretty good. I think here I went with f3. But since he hasn't moved the c pawn, he gets this in with one swoop, and well, we'll look at the continuations here. Maybe I should prep with the king h1, not commit to anything yet. Maybe a useful move to have anyways in the end. Because of the c5, this diagonal is definitely gonna be a little bit vulnerable. So it would be nice to have this guy already here out of any kind of pins. And maybe if black goes for their plan here, or maybe if I'm really lucky, I get black to commit to c6. Then at least he wastes tempos here. And if he goes with their plan of this one, not sure what would be useful move here. Of course, I can play f3 and stick this guy here if I want to. But I was thinking that maybe I could try to, like, black also has to be a little careful with stuff here, because suddenly there is a works around these parts of town, and maybe I can steal a pawn. I don't know, he defends this somehow, and take it, and I can take it, and of course they get in here, but well, it seems like an extra pawn. So black probably has to prep this land somehow. Meanwhile, rook c1 is of course not a very useful move if you want to play the central break here. Usually the rook wants to be like d1 or e1, usually depending where the opponent's queen is. If it's here, then usually rook is on d1. If these guys have been traded here, then I don't know, the rook might want to be on e1 instead. Anyways, I played f3, and then black gets c5 in one tempo, and is probably fine. Well, here I played this one, which I probably should have done earlier. I was looking at this, but I didn't really know what the hell is this. Black can take here with the knight. I'll drop the bishop back here. This is definitely a bit weak, or more than a bit weak, but so is this. But I don't know, maybe this is good. But also black can take maybe with the bishop, with the idea, oh, that's gonna be a check. I don't know what is this, like takes, or takes check with check first and then takes, but then I have this one and it's kind of a fork, and maybe queen g5 and you survive because it also hits the knight and white has no time to play f4. Well, definitely a messy situation. Well, I decided not to get involved at all. Keep my d pawn. Oh, black says no d pawn. And then again, decisions. Take with the pawn, take with the knight. I don't know, maybe in hindsight, also during the game I was thinking that it would make sense maybe more to take with the pawn. In principled sense that black's a bit cramped, so why help them trade? Well, that's probably a good question. Well, if they go here, again going for this, I don't know, maybe they might end up in a little bit of trouble with this guy, who knows. Well, maybe it's better, who knows. I took here, maybe helping black. But it's defined. Black played bishop e6. My claim to fame was that this may be an easier attack for me. The d5 at some point. I can put the bishop on and the knight on it. I was not sure at all. I am better here, but well, then I came with a different idea anyways. Knight e2, going for the bishop and this way. Well, defense d pawn too, but who knows. I was kind of maybe intending to, maybe I'll take it and play against the backwards e pawn instead. And maybe also kind of claim the bishop pair. Well, black trades the dark squared bishops. I say yes. Takes. And definitely some weakness around the dark squares around here. So I play queen d2. Kind of take control of something around here. Not that the knight was coming there anyways. This could of course go here, but I don't really see that it would be so dangerous, but who knows. Maybe I'll just play g4 and kick this guy somewhere away. Well, he played here, and I played g4, especially since the queen blocked the knight's retreat there, so I hoped it would be a little bit sidelined there. And here I had again big decision. I was looking at queen h6 a lot, because I felt like maybe black's a bit stuck here. Probably is not, like you can maybe play the knight there and try to trade the queens anyways. Here I hope that I could maybe try something like well, I wanted to do rook lifts, but those do not really work with the hanging pawns around here. And this seemed a little too slow. Black has a lot of moves. In the end I did not go there, I went queen f4 instead, saying let's trade the queens. My opponent said yes, offered a draw. My team was losing at this point by 1. So obviously I cannot accept pop. Probably would not have accepted anyways. It's definitely an equal position for sure. Even though I had some hopes that light squared pawn, light squared bishop more easily to pressure this than they have this one maybe. Anyways, here I did not look at the move that my opponent played. I was looking at like something, hoping f5, where I stick the g5 in, and my knight is really well wedged here and looking at here, and nobody's gonna harass it, and I get to close the king side. But my opponent played nice move g5 instead. And now I can't play g5. So here I went here, looking at this to get the tempo on this guy, but then the knight looked a little dodgy on the flank here. Like maybe I can eventually like move it here and move the bishop and move it somewhere where it could do stuff, but that looked slow, and so I just went here, intending to now go back to c3, where it actually looks at the d5, which I'm not sure I can attack. Well, my opponent plays f5. I think the best move here is trying to make this guy useful, and maybe this guy useful too. So I don't want to take and activate things, but well, I tried to keep things locked out. And I'm not sure I can if they take here. And then just keep on banging h5 with the question, how do you defend this? I have to maybe take. Horrible. And then suddenly, oh, this guy is activating. This guy is not useless anymore, and I don't know, maybe it goes here, and if I take it and then rook's there, and who's better? Black's maybe better. Well, this is how it should have gone for black. Instead, they made a big favor for me, f4. I think. Definitely a mistake. Closing this side down. And while closing down that side, you make this bishop not so good. So I went rook e1. Not sure where I was gonna go at this point. I was thinking rook goes to the c file. Assume they go there too. Go there, there. Well, this looked like a useful move, so added that. They defended the bishop with the king. Well, this was technically hanging, but then black gets the rook to h3, so meh, not so great. I don't know, maybe I have to trade everybody on the h file and meh, is that the thing? So I don't naively take there, defend this. Now I might be threatening to take it. My opponent plays h5. The downside of this move, of course, is that now this is not defended, and this comes a bit of a problem. On the other hand, if you try this one, I can at some point force, maybe even here, I just bang bang, rook, king block the rook. I could force the h file open if I see that it benefits me. And at this point, I was not sure I saw it being beneficial for me. Instead, I went with my plan, knight c3, hits here, opens the rook up here, which would hit everybody there. Well, my opponent forces the rook h file open, and then defends the g pawn with the king, intending something. Well, this was I was supposed to play or intended to play. I don't know, probably like this one. If I just play all the good schoolboy looks nice moves, but I was not sure where are we gonna go from here. So at this point I realized, oh, this would be a lovely check to get in, maybe. The downside is this, of course. But then I realized I have the Karpov move. If you know the classical game. Karpov, Hunziker, bang. Well, Karpov did it on a7 or a6. Block the a file and then double the rooks under the bishop. And prevented them from getting exchanged in the Ruy Lopez game. Well, this is the first time I get to actually use this motive, I think, in a classical game. So I was kind of happy. Maybe it's not even the best, but I could not resist. But ideas, so I liked it. My opponent thought for a while here, played rook a8, defends this in advance anyways. I could check and double here, but I was not sure where we end up. I mean, if he goes to a light square, then obviously I maybe could try this one and see if he blunders everything, but I doubt it. Well, obviously he can go here, then I can maybe pin this and intend to go anyways here, but at least here my rook's not defended, so I'm not sure. Well, this guy of course can't move, but I didn't want to do this before I was sure it's doing stuff. So I went here with the rook first. Bing bang. Well, black's going for the queen side, so he does the rook lift too. Well, it's not also easy to find the moves for black. So I'll hit this guy and that guy. Here I already hoped that my opponent would make something almost like this and get checkmated. Obviously not gonna happen, but who knows. Or, well, he moves the bishop anyways, and then you lose the rook. So he went for the queenside play. Well, I could go here, but I don't really want to rush, so I defend this side and try to keep control. Of course, the downside is that the knight's no longer defended. The good part is that the bishop is covering very important square on c2. So anything here, I can chop, and the rook's not gonna check me, which is really nice. He went for this one instead, in hopes that if I take, he gets to take here with check. But instead, I can take the other pawn safely now. Rook h6, check. Bishop g6, check. I get to take this guy here. King is now far away from the action. Yeah, I mean, I saw some lines where I could do some check somewhere where it's on the back rank too, but those were not really real. And I take this pawn with safety. Knight's covering this, bishop is still covering this. Well, they tried to get in. I could... Oh, here I was at some point even thinking earlier that I could do this, but that would be a good way to plunder the game away. Not good. Well, maybe we could somehow like hold our own. He's still here and not lose, but who knows. Instead, I played knight e2. Not only everything is covered on c file though, so this guy is not getting in, but also this guy is hopelessly gone. No way of defending it. My opponent was very low on time. Played rook a6. Well, I could take here and make myself a square here, but I'm greedy. I want to keep it all. Bishop b1 first. And here I could again take it, but no. Let's improve the rook first a little bit, so maybe the knight can't move. It'd be hitting everything here and the rook couldn't go anywhere without dropping the bishop, so. And this guy is not going anywhere since everything is covered anyways. So black has really no useful moves to make anyways. He brought the king a little closer. Then I finally take my pawn. And take another pawn. Finally this guy gets in, but it's way too late. White is already up 3 pawns. I defend my knight and save my bishop. They took here. Out of momentum mostly. We just reached the time control 2 and... Well, here I could obviously take here or do something else. I saw a little silly idea with them. If he goes here I get to win the rook, but he did not fall for that. Attack the pawn here. Well, I took here and here he resigned. He could take this, but then he's gonna lose his last pawn and, well, that's it. I don't know, maybe he could try some kind of like a pin defense here. But obviously black's down 3 pawns anyway, so hopeless. Not a clean game, but probably also not the worst game in the world. Anyways, I won, my team won, and we just about managed to stay and not get relegated. So we ended up with 6 points. Last 2 teams were 5 points. They actually had better scores than us, like in 1 games during the, or they scored more points during the league, but we won 3 games, lost 4 games, 6 points, 24.5 points made. Well, game points, team points. It first goes back up. They were pretty much overwhelmingly overqualified for this group. but it was very, very close. Anyways, happy that we managed to avoid the relegation. We started really bad, did well in the middle, then lost a few really bad losses in a row and ended up down there, but managed to avoid the relegation by a little bit in the end. Anyways, I scored 5 out of 7. I've won every white game, 4 out of 4. On black side, I did kind of bad. One win, 2 losses. But since I won first 4 games, it was kind of ending up with 5. It was kind of sad. I lost 2 in a row in the middle, but at least it's nice to end up with a win. So overall, not so bad. Could have gone better too. Anyways, that is that for this year. League continues next autumn. We'll see where we go play next. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching and ciao ciao.